All right, we are live. Let's verify that the audio is working. Need to verify our audio is working. Let's hope so. Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone in the chat. How you doing? Say hi. Hope everyone's doing good. Hello. Sorry if my keyboard is too loud. Hello, everybody. Fill up. When you have a chance, just verify my audio is working, I hope. Check. Could be louder. Got it. Okay, let's turn the volume up a bit. Not to be so loud. All right. Ooh, I hope that that's a bit better. I just turned up my mic sensitivity. All right, and we're gonna wait for some people to filter in. And today, as you know, for those of you who are here, we are going to be finishing our city and turning it into a capital. So I'm really excited about that. It's the conclusion to our village to capital stream. So I'm excited about that. Hey, Don Rue. Great to see you. Hey, Ronald the Beastie. Welcome. And as you know, Philip is also going to be Philip is going to be adminning or checking the chat. So if you have any questions or anything like that, talk with Philip, okay? Oh, great. The audio is better. Excellent. I want to make sure that everyone can hear me, and I'm going to try to maximize my audio settings so that I can try to pick up more of my voice and less background noise. Okay, awesome. Welcome, everybody. Let's just do some really quick announcements. Just so you know, some great changes have happened. If you go, we've went ahead and Discord has included server events. So we've went ahead and added the calendar for this month, December 2021, and that is both in the posts on YouTube, our YouTube channel, and if you're on our Discord, there's events, and that's going to be on the left panel where the channel list is. Go to the top, click events, and all the events for this month will be there. Just go ahead and click the follow button, and that way you'll be able to follow those. If you're not a member of Discord, I totally recommend it. Discord is amazing. Everyone there is extremely helpful. Philip will go ahead and provide the link to our Discord in the chat, so look for that, okay? Oh, thank you so much, Google Lithicator. Wow, great name, love it. Okay. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and quickly do a recap of what happened in our last stream. The guilds masters brought in their guilds, and they took over the town, and they now control most of the commerce and all the affairs that take place in the city. And the original village people do not have any more. The original people who kind of migrated here no longer have any kind of institutional power. So the guilds have now taken control, and they're expanding the city against the original desires of the original inhabitants. So right now we're going to go ahead and finish this stream. We're going to turn this city into a large capital, which means we're going to be resizing the map, and I'll show you how to do that. It is now almost 10 o'clock, so 10 a.m. PDT. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So first, what we're going to do is just continue to look at what we have already. We've created some river islands by creating a cofferdam, and this is where our port is going to be. And you already see there's some ships out here, and you have some canals here with some water mills. And then we're probably going to finish these canals, pushing them further out this way, and we're going to continue to build up here as well. Okay. As you know, you can hold down the space bar to zoom in and out, or not the space bar, sorry, with your mouse scroll wheel. If you have a mouse scroll wheel, just use that scroll wheel to zoom in and out. It's much easier than having to scroll into one spot or using this little magnifying pan zoom thing over here. It's just a lot easier to use your mouse wheel, and don't forget to hold down the space bar to pan. Okay, so just pro tip there for that. Let's zoom in over to the port. So what has now happened is that a lord and his ships have arrived at this city, and they are making a proposition to the guild masters that they want to say, look, either you surrender the city and its administrative apparatus over to the Lord, or we will siege your town, siege your city, or raise it. So the guild's masters are left with a very difficult decision. Will they yield to the Lord who has arrived, to the king, this new Lord from the south? Will they yield to him, or will they fight back? So now, if you want the guild's people to fight back, make sure to put A in the chat. If you want the guild's people to yield and give this, so A or B, yes or no, which one will it be? Please let me know. Howdy, Joy Baker, great to have you here. Awesome. So please, in the chat, tell me, what should we do? Should we take them out? Let's find out here. Just a yay or a nay, yes or no. Actually, make it easy. Oh, fight. Oh, so far we've got fight. All right. Yes, go ahead and filter that in. I'll start adding some buildings in, or so while you make that decision. So far, they're gonna fight. I like it. Anyone else? Anyone else? Please. Anyone up? Anyone up? Okay, let's take a look at our river island, and I'm gonna go ahead and place in put in the Lord's ships. And he's got quite a few ships, this Lord does. He's got quite a few. He has a large retinue of men, so he is well prepared. And the guild's people do not have a lot of troops, just so you know, not a whole lot, just a little bit, just a small private retinue, basically for their own private security. Do you think that the combined efforts of the guild's masters and their private retinues would be enough to fight against this Lord and his rather small fleet, well-trained retinue? Tough decision, right? Check the defenses. But it looks like there's gonna be a fight. All right, so the fight is up, and the Lord receives the news from the guild's master's messenger, and he's infuriated that the guild's masters will not yield the city so easily. So now the Lord is going to have to set up a blockade, and he's going to block all of the imports and exports that are coming out of the city. Now, as the guild's masters had increased the city's size, they had made the city large enough to where there wasn't enough infrastructure or enough farms to sustain the number of people in the city. And so they're kind of dependent now on imports to get certain food goods. And so they won't be able to hold out for very long, or hopefully as long as they can, before the Lord decides, I give up, this is a waste of my time. So this is a large gamble for the Lord. He's not going to siege. He's going to start first with a blockade. If they don't yield quickly, then he'll switch to a siege. There's no reason to waste your troops on a siege. Sieges are extremely costly. You lose a lot of troops, and you need a highly trained and disciplined retinue. And again, it's expensive, of course. So for now, they're going to stick with a blockade, and we're going to maneuver our ships to where they're kind of blocking the port, so where they can't get in. And one of the Lord's commanders has mentioned that the Alondo River is extremely turbulent, and there's heavy winds, and they will not be able to hold their location there forever. So there is a mild blockade keeping ships from coming in and making sure that you're pretty much starving the inhabitants of the city and trying to get the guild masters to yield. All right, awesome. We're still going. Okay. Now, the guild's masters are using whatever means they can to kind of feed themselves, and there's some unrest beginning to happen as the weeks go by in the blockade. The food sources are becoming more and more scarce, and most of the food is going to the guild masters and their families and just a select few. And the original inhabitants and everyone else basically is getting a little frustrated that they're not also getting access to the food. So there are factions now growing within the city, and some factions are saying, let's try our luck with the Lord. Maybe the Lord will allow us to continue do the crops and can allow us to feed ourselves. The guild masters are only concerned with their own survival. And so now there's two factions. There's the people who want to stay with the guild masters, stick it out, and those who want to defy the guild masters and allow the king in. So which side should we choose? Do you think that the city should yield and let the king in, or should the guild masters fall? Should they fall? Let them fall anyway. So please let me know in the chat which one you think is best. If you think that the guild masters deserve it, then let's do it. If not, then let's instead yield over to the king, or the lord that has arrived with his blockade and troops. Hey, White. Great to see you. So what would you like to do? Shall we let the king in, or should we continue to stand our ground with the possibility of maybe a siege? Let me know what you think. Okay, so our blockade is happening. The king, or the lord that has arrived, is actually brought more ships. It looks like he is preparing himself for a siege, and more ships are arriving. More and more of his fleet. It looks like this lord really wants this town, apparently. Now, he hasn't given any reason why he wants the town, only that he wants it. So we don't know what's going on yet. Have people decided what's going to happen? If they haven't, that's okay. We're going to go ahead and say that the guild masters' own greed is their downfall. They are so greedy, they won't share it with the rest of their food, with the rest of the group. And so they decide that they are going to make a gamble with the lord that has arrived to siege the town. And so they sack the guilds. They even catch fire to one of the guilds, and they kill anyone who gets in the way or captures them and hides them away in one of the guilds. And they open up the gates and they let the lord in. So the blockade has finished, and the lord is now entering into the city, and he is going to make any kind of proclamations. Going to go to whatever the most important administrative building is, and he's going to go probably to where the church or the chapel is, next to where the graveyard, that's over here. And he's going to go ahead and announce his intentions for the city. So the announcement is simple. This lord wants to use this as his capital city. He has been pushed south, or pushed north up the Alondo River, and now wishes to take lands further up in the Wild, which this area is called the Wild. And he's going to make this his capital city. Now he's executed all the guild masters who had refused to join, so they're gone and they're dead. They're not even given a proper burial. The lord was frustrated with their defiance and decided that they will not receive a proper burial. He also decides, as a safe measure to allow the villagers or the city folk to continue to do the agricultural works, but he does impose what's called a tithe. And a tithe is simply a tax on goods. So let's say that you have a mill and you are producing an X amount of pounds of, or whatever weight measurement you want, of grain. A certain percentage of that grain is going to go to the lord. And he's also putting a tax on the mill. He's going to confiscate all the mills, and to use the mill, he's going to also charge a tax as well. These monies are going to be used to help to continue to fund his private retinue, and for the construction that is about to occur. He's going to be doing some demolishing. He's brought in an architect and some developers and other people to survey the city, decide which sections will be removed. That means that those houses are going to be demolished. The wood is going to be used. The lord has also brought ships with materials. There's not much materials, as you can see in the surrounding area. The right here used to be a stone quarry. That's gone now. They've used all that. The forest has been cut by the guilds masters. That ended the will of the wood, which we did in the previous episode. And so now the villagers are angry. The city folk are angry that they have to pay a tithe and that they have to pay a tax for the use of the granaries, but it's better than starving to death, and so they've decided that they will continue to do that. The Lord has also decided that he wants to rip up the palisade wall that's around the city, and so we're going to delete these palisade walls, and the wood is going to be used for other structures. So these are going to be removed for now. So the Lord's men is basically telling a lot of the day laborers and other inhabitants of the city to take down the wall. And it's to, much of the disagreement of the townsfolk. But when there is a hired retinue next to you making the announcement, there's not much you can do. So again, the city folk are just left to have to just do what the Lord wants. They're not trained, and their retinue will be sicked upon them if they decide to rebel. So they're just taking their chances for now, maybe even vying to get another chance, maybe. So we'll see. So now all this wood is being moved to up to here, and the Lord has surveyed this limestone quarry, this limestone outcropping that's right here on the west bank of the Alondo. This is where his castle and where his keep is going to be. And he's also going to put his administrative functions. That means either parliamentary, it depends on what kind of administrative system he wants to build. But up here is where the administrative buildings are going to be. And he's going to disturb this area by demolishing all this stuff up here, and then he's going to start immediately barricading off that area with the palisade walls with the wood that he's collected here. So the first thing he wants to do is to protect his excavation area where he's going to be building his castle. So let's first just get rid of the rest of these. Actually, I think I can just do a little pro tip here. Here I am deleting each one individually. You can just actually click the hamburger menu here, and there's a select option. Select all from this set, and it will select every single one from the set, and then press delete, gone. So pro tip for that. Don't forget to check it just in case you missed it. Hamburger menu, select, and there's some select options here. Very, very, very helpful for quick selection. It's easier than trying to switch through this entire area here. So keep that pro tip in mind. Okay. Well, someone had mentioned that the wall would be for defenses here. Well, so what's going to happen here is the Lord is going to focus most of walling off only key portions of the city. So basically, he's only going to protect the administrative functions, maybe where the cathedral is that he wants to build, and just around the castle, and then maybe some vital infrastructure, which he will probably create in one of the inner baileys of his castle. So he's not worried about protecting the village or the city. He's more concerned about protecting himself, his administrators, and his own kind of family. So he's not going to build a wall around the whole city, just the vital infrastructure, himself, and perhaps the administration. So let's go ahead and fix where we want everything to be. The Lord is removing all of these structures from this limestone outcropping, just kind of removing everything, leveling everything, preparing, doing the excavation, preparing for the castle to be built. He also wants a main carriageway or causeway that's going to go from basically to the port straight to the castle. So he's going to have to build a road for that. He's going to demolish some of these structures here. And these are going to be removed. And this main causeway, there's one here from the port here, and then it's going to connect up to here. And we can put another main causeway going this way south that will follow along this channel here. So we'll go over to the catalog and quickly make that road. And I just dropped the opacity a little bit, drop the scale. 43 works pretty good. Make sure that softness is at 1 as well, okay? And I'm gonna scroll in, and I'm gonna quickly make the road that goes there. So I'll start here. Oopsie, make sure it's set to the right layer. Pro tip, you wanna know how to switch quickly between FG and BG. That's just the 1 key for FG, 2 key for BG. Okay, this is just a quick switch between the 2 layers. And if you don't know what the FG is, that's pretty much everything made with the add mode of the mask tool, and the BG is anything made with the subtract mode of the mask tool. So just for those who don't know about the mask tool, that's what that is. So hit that 1 key, and I'm going to make the road go up this way, up into where the castle is going to be, into this area. Okay, and I'm also going to remove, just, you know, if you want to get the brush quick shortcut key, just press the B key. And the B key doesn't just open up, it also closes that left panel as well. So it's just in case it's getting in the way and you're like, I can't do anything right here or over to the side. It's because the tool's in the way. Just hit that B key, hit the tool key again, and then it will go away. I'm also going to undo what I just did there, and I'm going to clean up this mess that I made. So I hit that B key, open it up, press the F key to open up the catalog. You'll see the F is there, opens up the catalog. And I also want to remove some of the, let's see here, I think, is this the texture? I want to kind of erase some of the roads here, or I can leave it there. As long as the main carriageway is there. Let me just check. Let's do this. We'll put one here, remove this one. It's okay if it's a little dirty, that's all right. We're going to place some new structures there. But I just want to put emphasis on this main road here. Going up. So this is kind of the main route going south. Or not south, I think, yeah, this is south. Just have it go straight and have it follow. And it's always good to put your roads by the channels and stuff. That way it's right along there. It goes there, and it's going to go all the way down. We'll also show you how to use the resize tool. And then also this route here has to be emphasized because this is the route that goes to basically the port and then goes straight into the middle of town here. So we're going to put some emphasis on some of these roads. So the main route to the city used to be here. Now it's changed. Now we have one route going to the port and a cross route going here. And the Lord has decided that this junction right here is a great place to put a cathedral. And so he's going to demolish some of these houses. And these people are either going to be given their own small residence to live somewhere, or they're on their own. Just depends on the generosity of the Lord. Normally what you have is mutual aid. A lot of the people in the village will probably step up and provide housing for these people who have lost their homes. So let's go ahead and delete this. Oh, and you know, there was one announcement that I wanted to make from the beginning while I'm working on this that I forgot to mention, was that we just released Feywild. The Feywild pack for fantasy battle maps. You should totally check that out. Absolutely beautiful art. I'm sure you've already noticed on our site the little bell, and it shows you that the Feywild stuff is up. Go check that out. It's beautiful, and I will be doing a stream this month on how to make a Feywild scene as well, so look forward to that. Check the calendar for that. Okay, so now we're going to put a cathedral here, and a little information about the Lord. The Lord comes from a religion that worships this quote-unquote one true God of fire and metal, and he's kind of like a warlike god. And to keep from further trouble with the city, he's not going to tamper with this holy site here. He's not going to bother with that. He doesn't want to further infuriate the people or the guild's people, so he's going to leave that undisturbed and put his cathedral here. Now, lords normally put cathedrals in towns and in their cities because they brought a lot of prestige. It brought a lot of money from the religion and priests. It brings a lot of revenue, also with the kind of the alms that it brings in. So it's kind of a prestige thing. And so we're going to put a cathedral here. I think I have one in my favorites. If you don't know where the favorites are, it's in the stamp options, and you'll see there's a recently used and a favorites. And the way that you make a favorite is just select the stamp you want and click this little banner here, and it will send it here to the favorites. Let me click it. So you'll see it's right there. And if I take it, it goes away, right? So that's really helpful. First, let's go add that cathedral. And the cathedral is going to go right here. And it's going to take a long time to build. But the Lord has, of course, well, actually, let's maybe go with a different color. I think a red one might look pretty good. I think right there will look good. It's a nice color. So you got the red cathedral here, and it's right here on the main route, so you can go up here like this. So you go right to it, and it's right here at the junction. So it's at a pivotal location. When people show up, they can go to the cathedral, worship this quote unquote one true god of fire and metal, kind of a warrior god. And we're also going to make sure to put some gardens and some other interesting things, some statues. So the way that you work on a garden is just go to that brush tool B key and just use whatever grass texture you want. I'm just going to click this one. And I'm also going to bring the opacity all the way up. And I'm just going to fill in some sections with some grass. So let's say I want just this right here to be grass, all on the inside here. This. We'll make the whole thing grass. And then we'll add in bushes and paths. Now, if any of you have been to cathedrals, they're huge and they have beautiful grounds. There's chapels, statues, shrines. There's all kinds of interesting things on cathedral grounds. So be creative when you're creating your cathedral grounds. They do not have to be symmetrical. I mean, there are a lot of symmetrical things in cathedrals and stuff like that, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. It's okay. So you got this nice patch of green. I'm also going to move it just a little bit like this. And there's another entrance. There's two entrances, one that goes here on the south side and here on the west side. So I select, again, I'm going to drop the opacity to 40 something. And so there's an entrance there and there's an entrance here. And we'll make sure the path goes straight to it like this. And then we're also going to create, a little path that goes here, and we're going to make it out of dirt. And that dirt path is basically going to go all the way around the cathedral. Let's see here. We'll have a path that goes through here like this, and then goes to this entrance, and then it goes all the way and wraps around to here like this. And then the path can go all the way to here as well, like that. And then we're also going to add bushes. So there's all kinds of bushes lying around. So I can just select a bush like this, grab it, and now I have it selected. So if you want something, instead of having to search through the catalog, it's kind of a pro tip, instead of searching through the catalog aimlessly for what you're looking for, if it's already on the map, just select it like this. And the next time you go to the stamp tool, which is going to be the O key to go to the object menu, that's this right here, the O key, it will have the last stamp that you selected. Okay, so pro tip, much quicker if you just select something and then switch to the stamp tool or the object tool, okay, with the O key, all right? So again, just select that bush, good to go, hit that O key, now I have it selected, and I'm gonna line the passage like this with some bushes like this, maybe put one in a corner here, like this. And if you want, we can make an enclosure like this, one like that, and you can do the same thing here, put another enclosure here, and you can put like a tree, a statue, whatever it is you want. And then we're going to line the entire thing as well. This entire ground is going to be covered with it, so it's what you would expect. There we go. And let's just break it up. I don't want it to be perfect, so I'll just make some little sections where they're off a little bit, because these are all like almost equidistant from each other, and you can change that. There is some interesting tools that you can do. Up at the top you'll see the area to fill. Now this option is available to stamp sets, and so what I'm going to do is not affect the area. My area is default 0, but the density, that means how many are going to be placed, so the distance between these. So if I drop the density down to, let's say, 80, and I do a drag real quick, you'll notice that there is a bit of a difference. You see, they're not so close to each other anymore. So you can change that by changing the density up here. And I think that option, maybe, let me check the advanced settings here. There are also advanced settings in right here. Go to the left panel, you're in the stamp options, advanced settings. If you don't see it, use your mouse scroll wheel to scroll down, right? And then you'll see there's this placement option for single, multiple, auto, and then it has the auto select options, the area, and also the density as it is up here, okay? But this is just a quick top bar with only density and area. So 80 is our placement density, and we're gonna continue. I'm going to go ahead and close the stamp tool. It's in my way, so press that O key, boom, gone. And then just continue placing this all the way around. Let's zoom out and take a look. Yep, that looks fine. And we'll do the same thing. Let's maybe add another one here. Now, this is kind of an awkward space. I really should have made this a little bit more symmetrical, but I don't want to have to demolish every single building for just a small slice. The Lord's not that callous. Okay, so that part's done. Let's go ahead and add some flowers. If you go into that catalog and you type at the top flower, there should be some flower beds. You can see them here. So there's these flower beds, and let's see what they are at 100%. We'll bring them down a bit, drop where they are, so put it below, and so you have some nice flowers here like this. Make sure they're below those bushes, okay? Same thing here. We'll increase the size just a little bit, so you got some bushes there, and let's maybe include a statue. There should be a couple here, and we're gonna have the statue of the warrior god here somewhere. Let's put the statue of the warrior god actually in here, where the flower bed is. Okay, and he's facing the street, and make sure it's on the right layer. Let's go layer 5, just check. Nope. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, so now you have your statue as well, and we're at 203 changes. Pro tip, just about this time you should be saving, because the more changes that you have, the more this change history fills up. You see all these changes here. Okay, when this thing fills up, you get more chances of getting what's called an internet timeout. So just be sure that you save every couple hundred changes or so. It's always a good habit to have. Don't worry, I understand if you're working on like a forest and you've put down 1,000 trees, totally understandable. That's okay, of course, you know, or you're doing your texturing, then yeah, it's totally okay. I understand that. So, you know, don't beat yourself up over that. Just remember to save. And after a certain number of saves, you should also refresh the page. Okay, so that's super important. Let's zoom back in. Let's zoom out real quick and see how the cathedral looks. The route is good. You've got this route from the port that goes into the front of the cathedral, into this front section right here, which is called the vestibule. This is called the vestibule right here. And that's usually where the poor people would go. And there were little windows that they would look into. So they weren't even allowed into the main section. So that section right there is called the vestibule. This section right here is called the nave. Okay, that's the main body of the cathedral. That's where that is. That's where you're going to have the pews, where you're going to have some chapels, you're going to have some candles, statues, things like that. Again, the nave. And this lax section right here is what's called the sacristy. The sacristy is where basically the altar is, where the priest carries out the service and stuff like that. So just a little bit of understanding a little bit of architecture, and it's not always the same, but that is the general layout of a cathedral, just as a heads up. Okay, so the cathedral's set up, and the Lord, let's go ahead and see what the Lord is up to. The Lord should be putting up his barricade with the wood that he's just collected. Let's go with recently used. I think, let me see. Oh, no, I don't see it. Let's go in and type in Palisade. No, let me try wall. Let me see here. There it is, wooden walls right here. So all those wooden walls that they were using here to make their wall, all that wood has been moved up to here to basically wall off the excavation site of where the keep and the castle is going to be. So let's go ahead and put that together. Let's go ahead and quarantine off this area so that no one will try to get in. Let's go put another one right here. And so we're going to put a wall all the way around, pretty much all the way around this hill, or this limestone. It's basically a limestone outcropping. And we're going to put a wall all the way around like this. And it's a temporary wall, okay? These wooden palisade walls are temporary. It's just to protect the excavation site until the stone can be quarried or brought to be used. So we're just going to quarantine off the area. I know it's kind of time consuming to put all these walls together, but that's the way it is for now. Though we might be working on a tool to fix that. Also, let's make a gatehouse. So let's make gate, and there should be some gatehouses in here. There's also these wooden ones. That makes sense. Let's go with a wooden one. And I don't want the drawbridge open. Let's just place that down. Okay, so this is where the gate is. And now that this has been put up, the Lord is going to put first, he's going to start building some necessary infrastructure that he needs inside of where his castle is going to be. So there's already some infrastructure here in this town. There's a mason here. So let's just reselect the mason and put the mason up here. So we have a mason. Let's also find out where our blacksmith is. I believe there is a blacksmith. Which one is this one? This is the smithy. So he's also going to need a smithy within as well. So we'll put one there. And let's also go ahead and have a little bit of the road just go right to that infrastructure. So leading to here and then going like this. Okay, and then we'll make sure to put our our castle space over here. Okay, and then we'll also build more walls down here as well going up. So first, let's just work on the infrastructure for the Lord, where he's going to be building his castle. So that looks good. Let's see what else is going on. So now the Lord's ships are bringing in lots and lots of stone and material from other areas to kind of build his castle and his keep. He has that stonemason, so whatever stone is being hauled up the main causeway over to the castle excavation site, basically that's where the stone's going to go to that mason, where he can shape the stones to fit into blocks so that he can start working on the castle and the walls. And you have a blacksmith that's going to be needed for all the metalworks that's going to be necessary. So that's the necessary infrastructure there. Let's start building a keep. So I did in my favorites add a couple of these. These are basically fortified buildings. And we're going to piece together our own little keep. Okay. So now a keep is going to have a couple important things. The first one is the main body of the keep. This is where like the Lord lives inside of here. There also needs to be what's called a donjon. Okay, and we're going to attach that here. We can actually move some stuff if we want. Let's move this here and move it like this. Okay, so like that. And then the donjon is attached here. Okay, and we're also going to put in a very small chapel as well, or a church. Let me check. Is there a shrine? Let's check church. No, there might be some small churches. Let me check. Yeah, this one is tiny. This might work. Okay, so you have a small church, and let's actually make that a little bit smaller. And we can even attach it to the castle. I'm going to put it below it. So this part that's popping out, like this, is actually a part of the church. Okay, that's the chapel, and it's just popping out to the side there, okay? All right, so that's an attached chapel. Let's move it in a little bit more. Okay, perfect. Let's add some stairs as well that go up to the castle. So we're going to put that there. So the stairs are going up like this. Make sure we attach it. That's going up there. And then also, we can also have stairs going up to this thing as well. So this is a top part. So in here, this is where it's going to be. And let's also put a spire on top. There should be some nice little tower pieces here. Go to expand all, and you'll see there's some these tower pieces here. So these might work nice. Let's go with red for the overall theme. Put it on top like this. Let's go with one bit larger like that. Let's just take a look and see how the castle is going. One of the boats is going back to get more stone. So let's remove a boat. Okay, let's take a look. So here's the keep, and the castle looks pretty small in comparison to, like, the Lord has got a small residence. I think we need to make it a bit bigger. So let's make it a little bit bigger. The Lord's like, nah. Come on, I need to live in luxury. So let's add another piece to continue on the size to make it a little bit bigger. So let's just keep adding some pieces. So the castle is going to increase in size. It's going to get bigger. There we go. And let's add another piece as well. Let's see. We can add, let's take a look. You can see what our other pieces are. Piecing together a castle can be difficult, and thinking about where you want all the pieces to be can be a pain, so think carefully about it. Okay. I'm also putting it on the right side of this bailey area, where this inner bailey is going to be, and the reason why is because when attackers come in to attack, generally they're right-handed with their weapons. Okay, so if there's a lord who has men stationed on top of his castle or his keep, and he's shooting arrows, the attackers have a disadvantage because they have their shields on their left side. So when they go into siege and attack, they will be disadvantaged immediately because of the location of where the keep is. Okay, so kind of keep that in mind, that when you're putting together staircases, a main causeway leading to a castle, that most of the attackers will be right-handed, meaning that their weapon hand is going to be on the right and their shield hand is going to be on the left. So kind of keep that in mind when you're putting up your defenses for a castle. And I will also note that soon we will be dedicating a whole stream series to making a castle. So I'm not going to put too much detail and stuff into this particular castle, but in another stream we'll be going into much more detail, history, and all that stuff. So just kind of keep that in mind, okay? Hello, Art. Welcome. Okay, so if you're looking for that castle stream, don't worry, we're going to be doing that. So now the castle continues to expand. It's getting a little bit bigger. We're going to just keep adding a couple more pieces to it just to make it even bigger. It's kind of nice because, you know, you would expect the Lord's castle to be kind of big, as you would expect. Let's move it up to here. We don't want it to get in the way of the palisade wall. So now you have this. Okay, and next we also want to make sure that you put in a well. So the Lord is going to want to be able to... Oh, what happened to my well? Well, that's weird. Okay, let's type in well real quick. Actually, let's add in some quick towers here. So let's add one there, and then, yeah, I think that's okay. Let's add in a well. And the Lord's going to need a well so that if he gets sieged, him and his family get sieged, there's going to be a water source. Let's put the water source in the back where the chapel is, or over here. I don't want to put the water in the, into the main area. I kind of want to put it off to the side. Instead, I was going to put a graveyard here, but there's not much room. So instead, we're going to put that there's a back door that goes out to the well. So at least the water source is somewhat protected. It's not just right there. So if the attackers actually make their way in, they're going to like take the well. So we'll put it a little bit to the side there. Okay. And we want to start putting in the stone walls, and we also want to put in a location where the stair goes in. So let's put this as the entrance to get into the castle here, or we can put it here. Let me see. I think this looks good. Okay, so this is basically a death trap because you have all of these locations where troops can be stationed here, and they can rain down all kinds of stuff here. We could even enclose this off and turn it into what's called a murder hole. A murder hole is basically a hole in a structure to where you can launch pitch, Byzantine fire, hot boiling water, whatever it is that you're using for chemical warfare. They absolutely did do that. Byzantine fire was basically a fire that wouldn't be put out by water. So maybe you have, something like that. But I'm not going to worry about enclosing this section off at all. I'm just going to kind of leave it open so that way troops can be staged here. So if a bunch of troops need to defend this gate right here, well, this is a temporary gate, but once the stone gate comes up, they have a staging area where troops can all meet up in one spot, and then they can defend that gate. So leave a slight open area here for a staging area for troops. So keep that in mind. Okay. Let's start working on the stone. So let's put in our stone gate. It's going to be our first gate. It's called a gatehouse. And so we're going to put our first gatehouse there, and we're going to make it out of stone. And I think I have one here. Okay, we're going to place it there like this. And so that one is there, and we're going to carefully remove the wall pieces. I'm just going to do what I did before, just select all from the set, and it will select every single one of them. That wood can be used for other things. So now we need to put in that stone wall. We're going to put in a nice thick stone wall. Now, if you don't know how these walls work, this little wooden section on the side right here is basically where soldiers walk along, okay? And I think that's what's called, if I remember correctly, it's called wall walk. Wall walk is a section of the wall where soldiers can walk on and defend that area. So that's called wall walk. So if you're confused which way is which, don't put your wall walk on the outside, put your wall walk on the inside, okay? So let's make sure that it's at the right layer as well. So we'll put one here, and we're gonna just connect all of these. That's just the way it goes. Go like this, and it's gonna go all the way around, just like we did before. And there's no real quick way to do this, unfortunately. It's just piecing walls together. It's just the way it is until we can make some kind of wall tool, which we might be working on. Okay, let's continue with these walls. Again, make sure that your wall walk is facing inward. And also, I like to overlap to where the two end pieces are on top of each other. These pieces right here, let's just break down a little bit about a wall composition just real quick. This section right here, these little tiny nodules right here. Let's not do that one, let's do this one. So this little section right here, let's see, it didn't pop up right, let me check. Okay, this little section right here is basically called a crenellation, okay? And the crenellations are a defensive segment of a wall that allows you to hide your head or hide behind, and then this open space right here. So let me break down real quick what it would look like in a front-facing view. So this is what it looks like. I'm sure you've seen them before, but those things popping up, those thick nodules popping up, those are called crenellations. And right here is where you would hide, right here. And right here, this open slot is where you would shoot your arrows or launch projectiles down at attackers, okay? So just a little bit about wall composition so you understand a little bit about it, but it's a perfect defensive part of a wall that keeps you safe from attackers. So kind of keep that in mind, and don't forget that wood part is called wall walk. Okay, and we're going to continue adding our walls, so let's just keep doing that. And again, overlap the two sides. You see these two crenellations on the end, overlap them because it looks kind of odd when you do it like that. So by just overlapping it, it looks like it's just a continuation of the next crenellation, okay? Much easier, much better. And just as a pro tip, you can use that control key, click, hold, and then use your mouse scroll wheel. That's how I'm doing this. If you don't know what the shortcuts are, if you just click that K button, shortcut keys are going to pop up, okay? Shortcut keys are a must. Absolutely use shortcut keys. Speed up your process, okay? So use shortcut keys. All right, so I'm using my shortcut key to rotate these walls, keep it going. Let's put one up a little bit like this. All right, and make sure you don't accidentally hit your structures, so just remember that. Overlapping each one as we go. Okay, that looks good. And I'm also kind of trying to line up the wall walk a little bit too, so they're not totally off. Okay, I did notice here I did make some mistakes with wall walk. So in the future, you know, just try to line them up the best you can. Okay, put that, and I think one more and we should be good. Okay, let's put it there. I think it should be okay. There we go. So now you have your very thick, strong walls there. And let's also put in some towers for defenses. So now this limestone outcropping is already quite high up in elevation. So it's already a prime location. That's why the Lord is going to build his castle there, is because it is up in elevation, which acts as a natural defense. So kind of keep that in mind. Natural defenses are super important when factoring in where you're going to place your keep, your castle, or whatever. So that's just part of knowing the defenses in the landscape. And we also want to put some towers here, because what could happen is ships could try to land along this shore at the bottom of this outcropping, limestone outcropping, and try to climb up. Now that would be an absolute nightmare. I don't think any troop would do that, but just in case, we're going to put some towers along the walls at key locations. So we just go back over to the catalog and just type in tower again in the search field. So much easier. And so you've got some towers here. So let's just going to use these towers here. And we're going to I'm just going to boost them up just a little bit in size. I think little 30% bigger should be okay. Place them in key locations. I'm going to put one right here. And you can also use them to hide awkward arrangements. You see how these look really weird together? You can also put this on top to hide it. So cheat, you know, a little bit, hide things. It's okay. So one there. We're going to put another one here as well at the base, right here, to look out along the Alondo River. We're going to put another one right here. Okay. And we're going to place one. Let's take a look here all along this shore. So these are some strong, look at these rocks, these jagged rocks sticking out. No, I don't think anyone's going to go up that way, but they could go up right here. So let's put one tower there. And let's see here. Ooh, this would be tough to go up. There's already this. Let's put one more tower right here just to be safe. Let me take a look. They look okay. And I actually want them to be red. So I'm going to go ahead and select all the stamps that are just like that. And I can go to hue, the hue slider bar, and just kind of change it to the color that I want it to be. So I just changed it over to red because I'm just trying to fix that color. I can even do the same to this one, make it red if I want with HSBC, or I can just select it here with right here, and they might already have a red one available. I'm just choosing red because this god is like, this guy and his people, his god is kind of a god of fire and metal, so I'm kind of going with a red theme. Okay, wildfire, yeah, joy, awesome. Okay, all right, so now the keep and what's called the inner bailey. Okay, this right here is what's called your inner bailey, and we've put some minor infrastructure in here. We've put in a chapel that's attached to the castle. We've also put in a donjon here. There's actually all kinds of infrastructure that you can put into an inner bailey. You can also have the kennels for the dogs. Dogs are for hunting, okay? And they'll also act as like an alarm system. So that way, if someone's attacking or someone's sneaking around the grounds, the dogs will bark. So kind of think of that. We've got that blacksmith there. And absolutely the stonesmith, this stonemason, because the stonemason is needed for all this stone wall here. So there could be more infrastructure in here. That's okay. It just depends on how much of how big you want the castle to be and how much area you're working with. This is just the prime location for the castle because of natural defenses. Okay, let's keep going. We're at 157 changes. Let's just quickly save. This is my second save, I believe. I think we'll do some more changes and then we'll do a refresh. So we also don't know why the Lord really wants the capital to be here. We don't really know. So let's continue the story. So the guilds, the few guildsmen or guilds masters that decided that they didn't want to revolt, they did not necessarily revolt, but didn't want to yield or wanted to yield, the Lord or the siege, the Lord spared them, allowed them to live, and they're now collaborating with the villagers. The villagers are saying that most of the resources that come into the town are really going to the Lord's keep and to kind of making the making it more grandiose for himself and his family, and not doing much for the infrastructure of the city itself. So the people are getting kind of disheartened. They're getting a little flustered, and they are kind of conspiring with each other to try to find out why the Lord is really here and what exactly is his goal and what is going on. And so basically a little bit of espionage is going on. The guilds folk or the guilds masters do have spies, and they were employed in the last video to kind of spy on the townspeople or the city people. And so now these guild masters are going to work with the city inhabitants to spy on the Lord and find out why he's here. Okay, so now we kind of Shakespeare, love it, in the chat. So now the spies are able to infiltrate into the castle by paying off one of the guards, and the guards lets in the spy and actually allows them to be one of the servants, and they're actually very close to the Lord's wife. And so it's overheard in a meeting that there is a limestone quarry that has a secret artifact hidden underneath of the limestone outcropping. And so I'm going to go ahead and quickly put a mine shaft in here. Oopsie, that was weird. Let me type in mine. That might be a bug. There's that mine entrance, okay? You can use this one if you don't want to have tracks, but we're going to put a mine entrance in, and it's right here is where it's been discovered. So we're going to put that mine entrance in, put it here like this. Well, actually, let's put it farther up into where the quarry is. Let's go up. So the entrance kind of leads, let's see here. Where do I want to put this entrance at? I think actually this is not a bad location. This whole thing is going to lead basically underneath into this whole section. So that leads into here. There's a whole network of tunnels and stuff underneath here, if you will want to imagine it. Something like that, okay? So underneath there's this series of tunnels, and it kind of explains what was originally the structures that were underneath of this limestone outcropping. So maybe some more answers will occur as we go. For now, just let that settle on your mind, and let's have the Lord continue bringing in more materials from the port, more stone for administrative buildings, more stone for walls, bringing in more timber for more structures. He's going to continue to build more. So up here in this kind of north section here, there's some empty space, and the Lord wants to put his administrative buildings there. So basically you're going to have prefects, and a prefect is basically like a marshal or a sheriff that is going to be patrolling. Right now we just have martial law, and the Lord is just using, shall we say, martial law, just, armed retinue that are running around. He's going to set up a prefect, and to kind of smooth things over, he's going to allow some of the guilds, allow some of the people in the city to take the job. He's not going to just allow his own men as a gesture of goodwill. He's going to allow people from the city to kind of be in the prefecture so that they can patrol their own neighborhoods. That's kind of important. So not very many, just a few. It's just kind of a show of goodwill. And it's going to kind of hopefully quell any kind of dissent that might be bubbling. And as we had mentioned before, there's that mine here. We'll get more to that. Let's continue with the infrastructure. So we're going to go over with the S key, or the O key, sorry, to open up the object menu. And let's kind of build some necessary infrastructure stuff. So first he's going to have a library. He is allowing in the mages and the priests and the scholars of his religion. This is going to be kind of the central area. So there's going to be a university, and we're also going to include a library as well that they're building. So let's also put our library in. We'll put that on the corner up here like this. Let's see how we want to have it. I want to have it, shape it special way. So you have a library here, you have the university here, and we want to also build some necessary infrastructure buildings as well. Let's check out some of our guilds real quick. There might be a guild. Let me type it in. Here we go. So here's our guilds. So we have different types of guilds. Let's also build in a big merchants guild as well. Let's see, do I already have one? Let me just make sure I don't already have one. I don't. Perfect. Let's go ahead and put this in. Figure out where we want to have it. Let's put one here. Just make sure I got it right. This is where this is where all those administrative buildings are going to be. Okay, and also we're going to put some military structures as well. So there needs to be a point where a lot of the troops need to be staged. So we got to have to create that as well. Let me just quickly maneuver this stuff over a little bit and try to set this up a little bit more nicely. I want to also make sure put troops in here. Let me delete this stuff. So you're kind of making room for other structures, and we'll make sure to connect the roads. So the first one is, again, university, and then a kind of a library here. And let's go over to our roads and make sure that the roads connect to that. So the road goes over, make sure you're set to the right layer. Remember, real quickly, 1-2 key to switch over to the layers. Let's make sure that this road also goes over to here. So there should be an entrance going here. There's a little staircase. Always look at your structures, zoom into your structures and see where all of the staircases are. Okay, like you see there's a staircase leading into here. There's a staircase here and here. Always factor in where your roads are. So pro tip, you know, if you want it to look right, make sure that you put your roads and attach them to the areas of point of entrance or entry, okay? So if this is a staircase here, you want to make sure there's a road leading to it. And you also want to make sure that there's a road also leading to this as well, and then connect this route to here like this, okay? So those are connected, right? And then we can also put it in a route here that goes straight into here, okay? And you can connect this and create some empty space. So we had mentioned this in the past video. You create these empty spaces. This is a block. This is where you're going to put your next structures. So first, let's just go ahead and put this stuff together like this. So put one here, going to here, like this. Okay, let's just check. Right, that looks good. Now, this university is probably going to need housing for its students and for because this university is going to be the home or the school where they're going to be trained to learn administrative functions for this capital. Okay, so you're going to have your administrators' children are going to be going here learning administrative skills. So putting in some housing for those students to live will be important. So let's just go ahead and put some in there. Let's have it, let's say, radiating away. We're going to create an interesting pattern. Let's just have it radiating away like this in this radial format. So I'm going to go like this, rotate it more, put another one in here like this, keep rotating. And we can even put in more structures as well, but I'm just going to have this kind of radiating away from it. And we can even make tighter spaces as well. Don't worry, if this is not tight enough, we can put them together more like this. Okay, you would expect kind of a student area to be kind of jammed and packed. Remember, these are the sons and daughters of the for future administrators, so kind of keep that bit in mind. Let's put in another one here in the back. Let's put a bigger one in. Let's just say this is maybe where the dean lives, in the back, so they just go walk right in from there. And then we'll maybe put in some housing for some of the teachers and some of the professors there. Place them just right here on this ledge here. And don't forget again to add in some streets. So you add in the streets, go like this, just have it connect, have this connect, and we'll put in some smaller structures. I've mentioned this in the previous videos, but it's always nice to put in varying sizes of structures to make it look more realistic. So kind of keep that in mind. And I'd like to use these stamps right here. If I go to that O key, go over to here, and you'll see these little structures right here. And I've used them all throughout right in here, but these work great for like small houses, barns, shacks, things like that. And they work great if you want to put them in a, let's say, let's just go ahead and turn off these random stamp option and random rotation. I want complete control. I'm just going to place these here randomly in some locations so that it fills in some of the negative space. So put one here, here, one there. I'm going to rotate these two as well, like this. Okay, looking good. And let's also put some here as well, or actually let's put a whole other building. No, this will be good. We'll put it in here like this. Add these, place in some structures here. And sometimes it's nice to also to not have them perfectly like perfectly together. Sometimes it's nice to have random, just have a random rotated one like this. You see here, I just randomly placed it there and rotated it. That kind of breaks it up a little bit, so it's nice to add that in. Let's add some structures here. Okay, let's take a look, and let's have a green area here. So let's go ahead and make some grass here. Let's go up to a higher percentage, 70% should be fine. So this is going to be where, like, let's say a fountain is going to be. I don't know if anyone has been to university before, but there's usually the university grounds are really beautiful, lush, green. It's meant to entice students. So this is what we're going to do here. We're going to line this with bushes as well. So if we just go down, select just a random bush. And remember, don't forget that we also had the density change, so it's still at 80%, at 80. So that's fine. We want to keep that. I don't want those bushes too tight together. Let's just do the corners, so that way people can get in to this grassy area. Now we can put something special in there, maybe like a giant tree or something. So we have that, and don't forget there's those spaces so people can walk in, right? Let's put a giant tree in there. It can have significance if you want to. Let's just take this one right here, and we're going to set it at 100. Make it a little bit smaller, really, so that way there's some walking room. So nice big tree right there. Okay, let's also add in some more greenery. Let's put in a strip of grass right here, and let's also add in a strip of grass here. Okay, so that entranceway is just still a little bit nicer, and we'll put in a series of trees there as well. So don't forget that object key right here. You have this, and I'm all going to use the same size tree. Let's go with something a bit smaller. This looks good. Let's do that one. Okay, and I am going to set it to random rotate, so that way they don't all look the same. So if I just click, 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 there's some trees there. Click, click, some trees there. Let's zoom out, take a look. Yep, that looks good. They've planted some trees there. This university is looking good. We've got student housing here. We have that library here as well. Let's go ahead and save and then refresh the page. Don't forget, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask Philip. Philip will answer any questions that you have. He's going ahead and administering the chat, so don't be afraid to ask any questions. Okay, or you can ask me questions. I don't mind. Don Juan. It's Don John, not Don Juan. Okay, so now we've added this administrative sections here. Let's go ahead and continue building on our blocks. Now, if you're in our last video, I explained a little bit about blocks and just a little bit here. Really, it's the negative spaces. There are two ways that I go about blocks. You can lay down the streets first and then fill in the negative space. That's right here. So if you don't know what that means by negative space, I'm talking about this right here. Okay. Once you've placed down your roads, you have these kind of negative spaces. Okay, just to verify that, so some people aren't confused. These negative spaces are basically where your blocks are going to be. And so first step, you can add roads and then fill in the blocks, fill in those sections, or you can just place the structures, which we did previously. Just grab one and put down a structure and then build the roads around it. Okay, so there's a kind of a two-fold approach to laying down your block structures. Let's just go ahead and fill up this section with a bunch of buildings. Okay, that's a big one. Let's say this is let's just attach this to this library. And this is going to be what's called the curator's house. Now, a curator is like a person who is in charge of the library, museum, or whatever. So this person is the curator or librarian, if you want to call him, but we'll go with curator. It just sounds better. So there's that curator's house right there, and we want a path that kind of leads to the curator's house as well. So we'll make the little path that's go around the library and go straight to that section there. Okay, so that's the curator's house, and we're going to put in some more structures here. We can put in some coliseums or things like that. Let me check if they have it. Let me check. Oh, well, first of all, I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay, let's go up and check real quick. I think, let me turn the expand all off real quick. And we're going to let this load a little bit. There's a lot of objects here, and I think there's a Coliseum here. And we need a Coliseum for some games because you want to keep people kind of entertained. Let's see if this one should fit. It's a really big stamp, so it might not fit. It's so huge. Oh my gosh, I think it's massive. I'm not sure if this will fit here. Let me just take a look. Ooh. Yeah, it's at half the size. Ooh. I'm not so sure. Are you a DM? Not currently. I am not currently a DM, but I know how to do it and I have done it before. I'm just so busy with things I don't have a chance at the moment. Let me just take a look. I think this one is just, you see, if it's at 100%, it's so huge. I want to include it, but I have to drop it down to like 50%, and I can't tell if it's too scaled down. What do you guys think? Is this scaled down too much? Am I violating the rules and going from, because these stamps are like at 100% and this stamp's at 50%. So the line work, immediately you can see the difference. Well, this line work is darker, thicker, and so it's a big difference. So we might not want to consider adding. Might want to consider adding maybe the smaller one. Let me check the circular one real quick. Maybe that works better. Ooh, this thing's still huge at 50%. Yes, it's a huge stamp, Lily Rose. I agree. Let's maybe put some other stamps there instead. Unfortunately, there are some fortified structures. So why don't we make what's called basically the upper crusty residences. So these administrators, they also need a place to live, right? They're not just the students who are going to be the future administrators, but the administrators themselves. And so we have these things called fortified housing. These are all fortified. You see the stone walls around them. So these houses are going to be the houses of our administrators, okay? And we're going to fill this whole section right here is going to be the housing of the admins. So let's go ahead and put that together. I'm going to turn off my random, and I also want to flip this one around like this. Okay, put one there. And I'm just going to use the Alt key, hold down Alt, mouse scroll wheel, and you can scroll through a stamp set. So pro tip there. It's so much easier to do that than to click, 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 click the one you want. You can just use this shortcut key, because what you want to do is just shave out the time that you take. You know, every time you move to a tool or move over to the catalog here or to the right panel to select and move things, it's just adding in more and more and more seconds. So those shortcut keys are going to help you to cut back on that. Okay, so let's just put in a bunch here. We're going to need a couple administrative buildings here. Let's put one. Let's see here. Let's get this one. Let's go with this big one right here, like this. And so all this, the stairs, make sure, be mindful of the stairs when you're doing this, okay? Like you don't want to place your staircase right here, okay? That would be weird, unless you intend to make a path that goes down this cliffside, okay? If this is the entrance leading in, you want the staircase to be facing inward towards the road, okay? So just, again, kind of keep that in mind. All right, sweet, we're doing good. Now we've added in these infrastructure. Let's add in a couple more. Let's make a couple blocks of it. So I'll make 2 or 3 rows. So let's put another one here. Let's zoom out, not in, sorry about that. Let's put one here, and let's just go, not a green one. I'm gonna try to use different ones. I don't wanna use the same ones every time. There's 9 of them, so I should be able to go through a lot of them. And let's add another one right here, okay? And then we'll keep going with just a couple more. Let's see here. Let's put one there and then one right here. Okay, so these are your administrative. This is where they live. And we might even want to piece some of them together to make like what's called a courtyard. And I've made that with pieces before. So if you look carefully, if you go ahead and piece stamps together and then make an enclosure, you can put a little courtyard inside of it. So the negative spaces in between structures, the space right here, is great for making courtyards, for making a garden space, maybe a graveyard, whatever you want. And all you're doing is just piecing stamps together to make an enclosure, okay? So that's super important. And because we're dealing with these administrative buildings, we kind of want to make it nice, want to make it kind of unique. So what we should do is make a ring of these buildings to create a kind of courtyard. So let's do that. And since these are fortified, we might want to consider maybe piecing them together to where they're fortified with a wall. So let's piece these together. There's one there. Let's piece another one, like, let's see if I can fit it all in right there. One here like this. One like that. Let's leave that open actually, and we'll switch over to here. One like that. Let's keep going here. I think this looks okay. Ooh, let's put that up above. I don't want that staircase showing. And then we can put another one right there, I think. Okay, so we've made this kind of courtyard, as you can see already. Let's select the whole thing and kind of just move it a little bit this way. Move it away from that library. Okay, so now you have this intersection here. And there's a lot that we can do there. We can even put a structure in the center, and we can even put some walls. if we want to connect it. So that way, at least the administrators have a kind of walled off section. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at our walls. Let's go ahead and use kind of a simpler wall, like these smaller, thinner wall. Let's try this one. Let's type in wall right here. This is perfect. So this wall's not nearly as thick and as big. So let's just put that down. And I'm going to make sure to put it below these stamps. Okay, so you have a wall there. And let's also put some wall together here as well. Let's put one here and another one right, let's say right there. Okay. So now this section is properly quarantined off so that at least they're protected. If they want to get into this section, they won't be able to. Now, if they're going to have a fortified section, what do we need? Of course, we need a well. Okay. So whenever you fortify an area, make sure that you have water sources. There's no point in fortifying yourself in something that's going to starve you to death or make you, die of thirst. So make sure that you put in a well in little tiny fortified areas if you can. Okay, so a well is there in the corner. So if they have siege, they are going to have some water sources. Okay. All right. Ooh, that's a great suggestion, by the way, Lily Rose. Lily Rose just mentioned that also a copy of a building flipped looks nice for courtyards. I absolutely agree with that. That's great. I'm really glad that you said that, Lily Rose. Okay, let's take a look. So now we also need a kind of some road to go into there. So there's this wall right here, and technically there's a gate there. Okay, so you're gonna go in like this, okay? And let's have the road go like this, kind of in a square all the way around, because it's gonna go to each structure, right? So there's a staircase there. There needs to be road on this staircase here. There also needs to be some road on that staircase there. Okay, so kind of keep that in mind when you're doing it. So you kind of have this nice little square here. And there's all kinds of things that we can do. Move it over to the well. We can also fill this in with green if we want. Oops, let's go up a little bit here. This can be a green courtyard, as you would expect. It should be kind of nice and pretty. I would kind of expect that. You can put a tree in there, a little orchard. Maybe put like some kind of tree in there that's going to act as a food source. So you can kind of put in just a couple trees, maybe even put in a little smaller one. Scaling down is okay, just kind of remember. So I'll just put 2 trees here. Okay, we have our well there. And let's also put in a fence. So if you type in F-E-N-S-E, there should be some fence there, perfect. And I'm just gonna line this with the fence, okay? So I place one there, and I'm gonna place one right here. And remember to make it below the trees, okay? And oops, that looks a little longer. So let's see here. I might be able to get away with that. Okay, perfect. And then place one down here. Now don't forget to leave a section open to get into this courtyard. So we can just put the courtyard like this and just say that the entrance is right here. Boom. So you can just walk right into there, okay? Or walk around the courtyard, okay? And if you want, you can put in all kinds of stuff in here. Courtyards, they look nice and they can be functional as well. So we have this, and I'm not going to put any road around the outside, okay? I'm just going to make it leading into the section. So this is that administrative section. We're at 90 changes. Let's save. It's always good to save. What's up, Serene? Welcome. Glad you are here. Okay. Awesome. This is going so good. How much time do we got? 45 minutes. Ooh, all right. So yes, awesome. How much space do we have? Ooh, so much space. We're going to have to quickly fill in a lot of this section, fill in this area as well. Let's just see what's going on with our Lord and his castle. Things seem to be going well. Let's go ahead and continue with the construction of that. So we want to put a series of, just like we did before, we had a series of kind of buildings in the castle. These kind of outbuildings work great, like I said, for either a small house or a storage silo, or there's just a whole list of things that you can use these small buildings for. We also want to put in some kind of barrack right here for troops to come in. So let's go ahead and add in a fortified section here. Let me see, how long is this one? That's kind of big. Let's go with something smaller. No, that won't do. Let's try this one right here. Okay. So this is basically a barrack right here. Troops are going to come out of this section, and I'm having it facing this way for a reason. When the soldiers come out of this staircase, their shield arm is on their left. So if they go out, immediately their shield is immediately on their left, protecting them from attackers. And you also want to make sure that there's a road that goes to the main gate here. Oopsie, that is grass, unless you want your road to be made of grass. It's a grassy road, that ain't gonna work. Okay, so this is, don't forget, this is kind of that staging area. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this all kind of white. Let's actually just fix that up a little bit. Let's go with making it kind of dark and brown, just a little bit like this. Okay. Now I also want to mention something important too when you're working on your structures. I always recommend that you take a darker texture and paint underneath, and I'll show you what that looks like. What I like to do is underneath every single structure where there's an empty space in a block, you see how there's just green? It probably wouldn't be like that. So if you just take a little bit like this and fill it in with brown, and if that's too much, 75, you can undo it. Just go with Alt-Z to undo and just switch it to, let's say, 42 instead. I like to add some dark texture in the blocks because it helps to make the distinction that this, you know, this is kind of built on, not built on grass. You know what I mean? Like, you don't really build on grass. You tear out the grass, you look for more harder terra firma to build your foundation. So you wouldn't have grass directly underneath your house, right? Because underneath the structure would be foundation, and you had to dig to create the foundation. So the way I like to do is just add a little bit of brown, and I'm not going to do it for every single one. I'm just going to do it for some of it, and so that way you can see the difference when you add it and when you don't add it, okay? So we'll just quickly fill in this section like this, and if it's, adjust your brush size accordingly, and I'll go ahead and just fill in all these negative spaces. Like you can put in here like this. This will all be brown here. And you'll see a big difference too. This darker texture has more contrast against this lighter texture. So this brown is actually helping these blocks or these buildings to pop out more, because this, you look at the blocks, they're kind of a light color and this is a darker color. Now let me zoom out and take a look. Okay, so pro tip, putting some brown underneath really helps. You see the difference already? This kind of dark texture underneath, it looks a lot better than the green. You'll see that I did the same thing here. You see how there's a little bit of brown underneath in the blocks, and there's no brown inside of these blocks, okay? So adding like a brown texture or whatever, just to show you that the earth was, you know, tilled up, you know what I mean? It wasn't left undisturbed. Again, whenever you build a structure, you need to build what's called a foundation, and you use a stonework in the foundation to keep the building from sinking. That's why it's so important to have a sturdy foundation, right? Is to have that sturdy, really level foundation. You've got your stone blocks underneath, and that is holding your structure up. So kind of keep that in mind. That's why I add that brown texture there. It's extremely helpful. Now I'm not going to do it to every single one because that would take, you know, half the stream probably, and we don't have much time left. Novigrad, Witcher 3, really cool, awesome. I'm really glad. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this so far. We've got our administrative section here. So this section here is where all of the administrative stuff is going to be. Actually, not that one. It would be this section right here. Would be all administrative here. So administration, castle, port. So basically your port area right here, okay? And you have a cathedral here and a chapel here. These are kind of some important things. We have a theater here. And don't worry, we'll get to the labeling as well. And also, the Lord is going to change this city to a different name. Now, this city is called Bridalwood, as we had already decided in 2 streams ago. But we also want to think about what the Lord is going to rename the city. So if anyone has some good suggestions for what the name of this capital, what the name of his capital was going to be, let me know. Put that in the chat, and I will go ahead and put that up. Once all the suggestions are put up in the chat, we'll go ahead and do a vote on those, okay? Leveled is the word you seek for earthworks. Absolutely. Awesome. Okay. Let's take a look. All right, we've got that stuff in. The Lord's got his keep. He's got some little stuff lying around. We have a barrack that leads into this. We have the main causeway. Let's fill in the rest of this space here. Well, actually, let's leave this open. So I had mentioned this before. Whenever you have like a gated area, it's nice to have no structures in front of this area. So look at this whole area right here. This area right here leading up to the castle, we're going to leave it barren. We're not going to put anything there. And the reason why is because you don't want troops to hide, enemy attackers to hide and to kind of barricade themselves in structures in front. You want them to lay themselves bare, open to attack. So leaving this, what I'm going to call the surround, or leading up to the causeway, up to the castle, is going to be left open. Okay, so that way that the defenders have a very clear view of the surround, and they know when troops are coming up the causeway. So we're going to leave that surround open. Okay, there's no need to put anything here. Okay, so we'll leave that open, and now we need to continue the city. So I'm going to real quickly fill in all the negative space here with a bunch of structures. I'm going to do that real quick, and I'm going to use the method that I've been using, which is roads and stuff. First, let's go ahead and finish this section over here with all these structures. Let's finish that up. Let's not leave this section undone. And I'm also going to change up some color a little bit. There's a lot of red here. I don't want to overdo with the red, so let's pick maybe some yellow to kind of go in. Okay, add in some blue. That structure will do nicely right there. Nice green one there. Just kind of keep adding structures. This doesn't need to be open, just that surrounding area up there. Okay, let's take a look. Did I fill it in good? Let's also add in these little structures here. Let's not go with that one. I just did it. Let's go with this one. Like this. Add in one here. Okay, that looks good. Let's change this up. Let's move this one up and just put in one little side structure here like this. Okay. Looking good. All right, sweet. That section's filled up. Looks much, much better. Awesome, Laura Gerard. I'm so glad you could make it for this. That's so exciting. Okay, and don't forget this video, once it's all done streaming, you don't have to wait, but there's playback, okay? You can play and go back and see what you missed. And of course, in every one of these videos, these streams, I try to add in chapter titles so that instead of, listen to me ramble on for 20 minutes, you can just go to each little chapter title and kind of look for something in specific, like you want to specifically learn how to make a block, administrative section, port. So I'll make sure to put in chapter titles in the video, okay? Now I'm just going to quickly, real quick, put blocks together, and I'm going to show you a method which I used in the last video on how to put together blocks very, very quickly. So right here, you have this whole block that's put together, okay? It's already a block that's put together for you. If you go back to the O key, those blocks will be selected. Now you see that they're really kind of squarish, rectangularish. I don't recommend using a lot of these in one place. I recommend just placing one here and there, because what you're trying to do is quickly fill in the negative space as quickly as possible. And the way that I do that, the way that I boom, 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 make these city blocks is by putting in large pieces, large blocks, putting in medium-sized blocks with varying shapes, and then put in the small blocks, okay? So it's an order of operation, going from biggest to small. And the reason why I'm going that way is because big to fill in the space, because remember, this technique is to boom, boom, get it done quickly. Okay, so I'm going to start with here along this road, put in a lot of these structures, put in the negative space. There's one here. I can rotate one around. Let's scroll through and take a look. We'll put one over here as well. We'll place some around here. Let's go with a different kind. Let's type in block. Don't want it to be all red. If you type in block, there should be a series of blocks available. Some of these blocks are huge. Let's go with this small. Let's go with these yellow ones. So that'll work good. Okay, so we'll put in some more here. This and all along this road here. Okay. And remember to leave some negative space. So now whenever you're piecing these together, remember to leave some negative space to put in at least a road. So this small section that you see right here, never take your blocks and put them so close together that there's no room to put down in your road. Okay, so be aware of your spatial arrangement so that you have some room to put in things. Okay, and you can put in specialty blocks as well, not just random blocks. So let's just put in more of this. We're just continuing to fill in the space. So there's one there. Now you see a lot of this space has been filled up already. So that works kind of nice. So then you just switch over to the smaller blocks. There should be a special kind of block where they're not squarish. Let me see if I can find them. Let's see here. Let me just go into the catalog and look for it that way. I'm going to expand this out. Okay, here we go. So there are some shapes that are irregular. I'm going to see if I can find those irregular blocks. I don't see them. Let's go over straight into the catalog, left side. And if you type watercolor cities, that's the pack that we're working with, you can select individual packs, okay? And there should be one called blocks. And so now all the blocks will pop up. Now they have these awkward small cluster shapes. So these ones work really nice as well to fill in some awkward spaces, right? So let's say you have like a weird space here. You can fill that in like that, right? Same thing with this one. Awkward shape. This way it breaks up that blockish look, and you don't want that blockish look. You really don't, okay? You want to kind of make it a little bit better. So I'm doing that by just filling in these negative spaces like this. Put one there. I'm going to put one here. And it just works really, really nicely, right? You've done the first thing, right? Big blocks, medium, awkward blocks, and then you'll put in smaller ones. See, we've already filled in this whole section. It didn't take too long. And you see how well these blocks kind of work together. They fit in really nicely. So they go in quick like that, and you're getting rid of that blocky look that you don't like. Let's take a look here. Yeah, it looks good so far. It just keeps growing. And don't worry, we're going to do the resize tool as well. And this video might go a little bit longer than 12 p.m. PDT, so because we still have to do a resize and then finish up some sections in the south area. So let's just finish this up, add in some here like this. Okay, add in one right here. Hi Akils, pleasure to meet you. Nice to have you. Hey Jeff Griffin. Any chance you could make a more expensive unlimited stamp subscription? That is a question that you should probably present in our Discord channel. We do have suggestions for that kind of stuff, and I can tell you that we have the kind of a marketplace concept, perhaps. So kind of look out for that. But right now, yeah, I can't actually answer that question right now. I would recommend that you go over to our Discord channel and absolutely make that suggestion. We have a feature and art request channel that you can go to. Philip, if you're there, you can provide that Discord link in the chat so that you can go there and check it out. I would definitely recommend that you go through the go through the requests first, because I think duplicate requests are deleted. So just kind of keep that in mind. So you notice that we filled in all that space. So now we've done the second step, the medium step. Now let's go ahead and take these smaller structures like these ones here, okay? And we go in and we just fill in more of the negative space. That's it. So all this little negative space lying around like this, just go ahead and start putting in some buildings, okay? And you can also put in specialty buildings if you want more specialty buildings. I think I've added a lot of specialty buildings already with this administrative and all this other stuff, so I'm not going to worry about other guilds and things like that. I'm just going to expand the city, making it bigger. And I just want you to keep in mind that when you're making your city much larger, please keep in mind that the larger the city, there are some pitfalls to having a large city. One is a food and water source. Now you've already got this wonderful water source here, the Alondo River, right? But you might not have enough room, because as you're expanding the city, you're taking up potential crop space, okay? So the more and more that you expand the city, you're going to either need more crop space, or the more reliant you are going to be on imports, okay? I mentioned this earlier in the video, but I just want to again mention this, that as your city gets bigger and as the crops, because as this city expands, they're going to get rid of these crops and they're going to put more and more blocks. And as that happens, As that happens, there's going to be less food sources. So remember, the larger the city, make sure that you either have a huge swath and area for agriculture, or make sure that you have major trade routes with your roads or a port so that you can take care of imports and exports. Okay, so kind of just keep that in mind. It's just the necessary infrastructure, food that you need for your city. We're at 93 changes. I'm going to save. Okay. All right. We're going to let this save, and we're going to finish up. Those blocks turned out real quick. See how quickly that goes when you go with that method from the largest stamp to the smallest? It's kind of a three-step technique, but it works really well. I just faced all the blocks, and then you just need to put in the roads. So I'll put in a couple roads. I'll finish the whole map off, probably off screen just to save on time. But just again, remember, put in your roads. So all this stuff needs to have roads going around. So kind of keep that part in mind. So you've got all these roads going in. Make sure you connect your roads into the main route. Okay, so you have routes going. Make sure that the road connects to them. Oops, there is a piece of bush. There's a bush right there. That's not going to work. Your bush is in the way. Okay, let's move this over to here. And just again, remember to make sure that the roads connect all in and around. Okay, that's just kind of important. Have all these roads connect, and whatever texture it is you want to use, let's connect this one like this, and just have this route connected to here. So you have this interesting shape there. Keep going. Let's go into here and along here. Goes into here like this. Connects into here. Okay, so make sure you connect all your roads, and don't forget what I also mentioned earlier with your dirt. Okay, make sure you fill in your negative block space with a little bit of dirt, and that also helps to make your road pop too, not just your structures, because you have this dark texture against this light road texture. Okay, so that also is really helpful. So I'll fill in just a couple of these. Okay, I'll fill in a couple of this stuff. Good. Yep. Oh, modern stamps. Oh, you know what? There is some surveys that we've done by our very own Philip about that. So maybe that's something that you want to discuss with Philip, or maybe discuss with our art team on our Discord channel. Absolutely check out our Discord channel. I know I'm gonna probably just gonna keep repeating this every time, but our Discord channel is amazing. Our people, all of our users are extremely helpful. So if you're ever feeling like you're having a hard time with a map, you need some feedback, you don't know how to do something, boom, go to our Discord. Like, all these people are going to be willing to absolutely help you boost your map making game. Trust me, because that's what we're here for. We're here to help you out. Okay, I'm just going to fill in a couple more of these blocks with some dirt. Okay, and I'll fill in the rest later, but for now, just to kind of show what it looks like. It looks a little better. Yeah, I like it. Okay, looks fine, looks good, looks good. Okay, I'll just fill in a couple more of these. This one as well. Okay, so you get the general idea with filling in the darker space, especially when you're using these lighter, road texture. This texture for road just really helps to kind of make it pop out, so that's really nice. Keep that in mind. We'll even add a little section here. You can even put little sections where there's like an actual stone square. Okay, keep that in mind too. If you see a nice negative space that would work well for like a little stone courtyard, you can put one there. You can even put like a stone courtyard here, like this. Okay, keep that in mind when you're making that kind of stuff. Those courtyards are just super, super nice. They just look really, really nice when you add them. In fact, I'll just put some in here as well inside this university. That's all stone there. And I'm not adding any walls along this side right here. It already has some natural defenses. And it's not, I'm gonna say that the Lord is not going to build a wall here. I'm gonna say that he's gonna actually focus more on just protecting his own infrastructure, his own personal infrastructure, as you would kind of expect from a Lord. Okay, awesome. Yes, absolutely. Okay, it's coming together. So you've done those brown sections, like I said before, when you add it in. Let's go ahead and demolish much of these crops right here, and also clean up this ditch right here. This brown texture is a ditch from the Palisade walls were there. Just in case you didn't catch it in that stream where we put up the Palisade walls, often defenders would put a ditch in front of their Palisade wall, so that way it was more difficult to scale the wall. So, and you can also put in spikes, or you can put a moat in that ditch, whatever you want, but the ditch is an extra layer of defense in front of your Palisade wall to protect from attackers. Okay, so the next time you kind of put in your Palisade walls or some walls, put a little ditch, put a ditch right in front of it, and you can use a dark texture to kind of represent that, like I did here. Okay, so let's go ahead and demolish much of these crops. I'm just going to go ahead and do the method we just did yet again, with taking large blocks and just kind of placing them. Let's go with a different kind of block this time. Let's go with like kind of the yellow ones, and we'll start with small first. Okay, I'm going to line them all along the road, because we already have some road here, so work with the road. Right, and I know there's a crop texture there. Don't worry, we will move it. Okay, so we're going to add some of this, add some more structures. There's some nice buildings here. There, we'll put one in here. One right here like this. Okay, one can go in right here, and we're going to put one right here. See, it's looking really, really blocky, and I just absolutely can't stand when it looks super, super blocky. So we'll put in those natural shapes eventually. Let's just continue adding some structures along the road. Okay, and we can even put in some water mills here if we want to. So there should be some water mills in here. Let me check. Right here, you can go ahead and just take this water mill. Oopsie, that one's not selecting. There we go. Select one and just go ahead and place it to where it's along here. So you got a water mill there. A very, very dark red water mill. Okay, and then let's go ahead and just fill in this block section here. I'm going to go ahead and take this dark texture, go with a fairly large size. This is a big space, and kind of just fill in this with that dark texture again. Kind of at least drown out that, try to drown out that crop texture a little bit. In fact, we can just go full up and just go and erase it. And then it's kind of too dark, so we will go in and add in this texture. Just drop down the opacity because this is so dark, and by doing this I'm just going to blend it in, so that way there's a little bit of green in there, not too much, and then we can reapply the brown if necessary. Okay, so we'll add that in there. I'm just going to do some light tapping. Just wanted to get rid of that crop texture. Okay, let's take in the small buildings like we did before. Let's go with those random kind of awkward shape ones that I like. This one right here. And we're going to put some awkward shape ones in here to break up that weird block kind of shape that we had. Let's put one there and then put one here along here like this. Let's see here. Put one along here. We can even put in more water mills. Let's put one all along here. Okay, keep going. Let's take a look. There we go. Right there. So this is kind of going into this road right here. This is that kind of a main route, because you see this main route goes all the way to here. Don't forget to emphasize the main route. Let's go with this size, bring it up. Just want to put more emphasis on this road here. Okay, so we're just making it bigger, because remember, this is basically the main causeway. So we want to put a lot of emphasis on it. So let's just keep adding and make this road kind of thick. Nice and thick, so you know it's a causeway. Okay, and then again, this one right here as well. Just more emphasis on this route. There we go. Okay, and in fact, you can put emphasis on some of the most important areas. For instance, this administrative area. Just to put more emphasis on it, just kind of put that there. And also there is a theater district and a market. Okay, the theater and the market is here. So let's also make sure that the route leading to it is significant. Like if there's any important areas that you want to highlight, you got to make sure that there are routes going to it. Okay, so putting extra emphasis on routes can help you put emphasis on where they lead to. Okay, this structure looks like it's kind of A little too big. Let's move it over here so we got some room. And there's a bush in the way, so just move it out of the way. Okay. All right, so you've got these main route going from basically north to south. Well, northeast, a little going northeast, because we have a compass right here. So this is north. So it's north, a little bit to the east, and then going down south. And then there's also one leading from the main port going straight to this district here. Okay, so the most, because what you want is your main causeways to lead to important places. So that Cathedral is an important location. The theater and the market, clearly the market and the theater are going to be important. A theater is how you entertain your elites, or if people can afford it, to go to the theater. There's your market to be involved in some commerce. And again, your university for your future administrators, housing for the current administrators, the castle. Okay, so when we're moving along, let's go ahead and quickly fill in this area here, add in some more stuff. We're going to place in some random stuff as well. I think there should be some farmhouses, so let's type in farm and see if I can find one. Maybe a barn. Let's take a look. Oh, oopsie, I'm on blocks, that's why. Watercolor says, there we go. Okay. I'm going to put a barn here like this, and let's go with an awkward shape. Because this is already so blocky, let's actually put in some really weird shapes in to kind of break up how blocky that is. So you have a main barn here. We're going to say that this area is where there's kind of a light farm here. So let's go ahead and put in your barn here, add in some structures. And again, I'm rotating them to kind of break up this really awkward shape that we have, because it's really blocky and I just want to get rid of that. Let's put one there too. So we got a little bit of a curve here. And if we throw in a road 2, then it should look a little bit nicer. So let's say there's a road that goes to the barn and goes in through here into this road. Okay, and then this road can go to here and then lead to here like this. Okay, and then inside here, you can put in crops, you can change things around. Let's actually remove these structures, and this will actually help to kind of break up. That one piece there was looking really weird. And if you want, you can just put in some crops here, or possible future crops. One thing I like to do is just make kind of these negative, or kind of make these little brown spaces like this, and it kind of looks like a tilled crop, a tilled field a little bit. So I go like this, we'll add in some shapes here. Let's go with this like this here, and then shapes here. Go down like this, and then add in a shape like this as well. Okay, and we want our road 2 to go through, go along here, connect. And then we can even put in the road going in through all these little shapes here. Like that if you want. And you can line those with bushes if you want. It's up to you how you want to do it. Okay. Let's just take a look and see how it's doing so far. And don't forget to kind of add in some extra routes. Oh, perfect. That'll look much better. Okay. And then maybe put one in that goes through here. And again, don't forget to focus on where your staircases are. So if you see a staircase, make sure there's a route that goes to it. That's important. Always remember that. Staircases. I'm sure there's a bunch of other ones that I missed as well. But I'm not going to try to catch all of them in one fell swoop. So just kind of keep that in mind, that wherever your staircases are, make sure there's a route that kind of leads them. See, here's one here as well. Okay, we're at 153 changes. Let's fit the screen, zoom out, take a look. And there's still all this space here, and it's coming together pretty good. I might not even have to resize it. So that would be kind of nice. Let's take a look. All right. So just kind of keeping in mind, you know, if you haven't yet, go check out the whole series. There are 4 streams total, including this one. There's the village, where it started out as a village. The village turned into a town. And then a town turned into a city, and now the city is what we're doing now, turning the city into a capital. Okay, it's just to help you kind of understand the basic infrastructure, where to start and building. I'll make sure to also do a stream on just making a full-blown city in like a shorter period of time. These videos were drawn out on purpose because I was including some story to it, but we will do another stream that's just straight city building, no story, and just kind of quickly building it through. But I hope that some of the process that I've done of putting all these blocks together kind of helps to kind of explain the general idea of city building. Okay, story is just nice, just to help with retention rate. Let's go ahead and continue with the roads, adding in the last bit of blocks here, and probably add in blocks here. And I don't want to hit the compass, so I'll just make sure that the blocks aren't hitting that, because I only have about 15 minutes left. So let's see here. Yep, this surround area is open. We still have defenses along here, and maybe off screen I can put in a wall here. So let's just go ahead and continue with the structures. I got a ton of yellow here. I'm actually going to kind of remove some of it and go with more shankier kind of structures. Like the farther that you go out away from the main city center, the periphery, I think I'll add in buildings that are not as quite as nice, if that makes any sense. So what I'm going to do is just type in, let me just check here. Oopsie, I don't want to expand all, my bad. One moment while I grab this stuff. I'm not supposed to see any of this stuff. Oops. Why are you all hiding there? Okay, so let me see here. Is this the one I'm looking for? These ones? You know, I think I can just go with these wooden ones. This will just work fine. So we're going to put in a lot of these wooden structures. Again, the farther out you go away from the city center, which is called the periphery, the surrounding area, out just outside of the city, you can start to factor in more urban. So think of more smaller buildings, farms, and things like that. That's your periphery. Okay, and I'll show you on the map as a whole so you can kind of see it. So the periphery would be basically all along here. This would be all the periphery, just around the outside, while you have the main city center area here, right? So just kind of keep in mind that the farther that you go out away from the city center, which is called the periphery, you're going to put down smaller structures, farms, things like that, right? You will keep the jokes, right? Oh yes, well, I had lots of jokes. They're not very good. No promises, okay? No promises on good jokes, I promise. Okay, let's put in these smaller structures here, and we're going to fill in a lot of them. I'm going to put some in the corner here, and let's see here. Let's scroll through a couple of them, change them up. Let's put in some smaller ones here, here, put one here, and then we can also just put one lining along the road. Let's go ahead and use these ones. Put one in the center there, and don't forget to add trees as well. We could do that. I'm just going to keep building in the negative space. Put them all along here, and then we can start with the smaller structures again. Let's go with these small yellow ones again. There's already some yellow ones, and don't forget just to break it up, add in just some random ones in here. Okay, put some here, one along here, here, and here. Just kind of going along. Okay, add some here. Let's take a look here. Right, looking good so far. Okay, let's take a look. Okay. Yeah, don't forget, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask Philip or myself during the chat. We're almost done, just about 10 more minutes. Okay, and we'll be concluding this stream. All right, let's just go ahead and finish up the structures. I really hope that these techniques have helped. And if you have any suggestions for future streams, don't be afraid to ask. Like I'm very open. If you have an idea, just mention it, and I'll make sure to put it on a list of possible to-dos. So there is a process to it, but I am absolutely open to suggestions, and I absolutely love suggestions. Don't forget to go to our Discord and check the events, or to go to find the calendar and to find the events for each stream, including this one. Also go to just the post section in our YouTube channel. You'll see in posts, you'll see that the calendar is there as well. So go ahead and check that out and see if you can make some time to make it for some of the streams. And some of the streams are Discord exclusive, so kind of keep that in mind. And I know if you don't have time, just so you know, the Discord streams are not recorded. But from now on, I think in the future, I'm going to take some of the Discord streams and do them again that same month on YouTube, okay? Because I noticed that some people, aren't able to make it to the Discord one. I just said I wanted to have a Discord exclusive I want people to join our Discord because let me tell you, the people are extremely helpful. Seriously, I've learned so much just from our community alone. You don't think I learned how to make maps on my own, did you? Oh, heck no. With your help, absolutely. I get so much better. Okay. Just going to keep adding structures here. I'm just going to fill in all the negative spaces so I can just kind of keep this city getting bigger and bigger. Place some there, some negative space there, and we'll put in some roads there. But you get the general idea of how putting generally a city together when it comes to block work. You know, just to refresh, again, put down roads first, then put down your blocks in the negative space. For those of you who just walked in, negative space is something like this, right? This is the negative space. So when you make a road and you connect them, you got that negative space. That's where you're going to put your blocks. Now, if you don't want to do it that way, and instead you want to put down your buildings first and then put down your roads. Okay, start with just making little blocks and courtyards like you see here, right? You notice that there's a little courtyard here, and I don't want to select it. I'm trying to use the path tool here. Okay, make sure that you put your pieces together and then put the road around it. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. I'm also going to put a bunch of trees around because it's always nice to have trees. And I also really like to line some of my roads with bushes. And it's just basically to highlight that road. So I'm going to take the bush, make it a little bit bigger, just a tad bit bigger. Okay, and I'm going and make sure it's set to the road, whatever density placement that you want. For those of you who missed out about this, this is a pro tip. If you don't want your stamps to be really close together when you're dragging and holding, you can go up to your placement density and drop the density. That just means how many stamps are going to be placed in a drag, right? Okay, you can also find that setting in the left panel right here under placement. Just use the mouse scroll wheel if you don't see it when you open it up. Okay, so just remember that. Just scroll up. There it is. And you'll see those same options here, area density, and a couple more little options here that are really nice. Okay, if you don't know how this works, go ahead and check out I think you can check the tool videos. I think we cover most of the tools. Some of them are still under development, so we haven't done them all yet. But I'm going to line the main causeway with bushes. And the reason why I'm doing that is just to put, again, more emphasis on the main causeway. Okay? And you don't have to do it perfectly. Just in certain areas where you can, add in these bushes. And I made them a little bit bigger on purpose. Okay, like this, put some here and here. And I'm just lining the main causeway basically with bushes so that way it's an emphasized route. Okay. All right, and I'm also going to do the same with this kind of route here. Just add a couple here along this route so I can put some emphasis on it because it is kind of an important route. It goes to the market and it also goes to the theater. Let me just check. Okay, so we need to add more bushes here, lining here, here. Okay, looks good. And then you even want to put some going towards the port because that is another important route. Okay. All right, let's take a zoom out and take a look. That looks all right. And I don't want to have too much going up the causeway, just a couple. There we go. Because remember, you want to leave this area empty so you can kind of see who's attacking you. You know, you can check their formation, see how they're coming at you, right? So that's super important. I'm going to go ahead and save on 105 changes. Nice. Finn, welcome. Well, we are coming to a wrap, and I hope that this was helpful to you. And don't forget, I will do a full on just 2-hour city. There are ways to make a 2-hour city, and I'll show you those techniques. You can. Just know that it's going to be kind of a basic, simple city when you're going through it quickly. Good cities take time. They take planning. Story helps in the planning. So just know that there's no real trick to making a city very, 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 very quickly. I can put together a city in 2 hours, but there's going to be all kinds of need for details and stuff. But the basic city outline can be done in 2 hours, and I'll show you that technique in another stream perhaps. So I really appreciate that you've all come. I hope that you've learned a bunch from these streams. Go check out the 3 previous streams as well: Village, town, city, and of course this capital one, which you're already here for. Go check those out and go ahead and figure out how we started out. And then also, if you go to my profile on our channel or on our website, I have a series of guides that kind of show you how to make cities already. I'll make sure to go ahead and probably put that in a comment or in the chat later. So go check out those guides on my profile because they will help you. They're just little tiny visual guides that will kind of help you break down some concepts like putting together cities, caverns, caves, dungeons, that kind of stuff. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind, all right? Hey, thank you so much. Thank you, Lily Rose, for making it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Lily. Thank you, Philip, for doing all the work. Thank you, Jeff, Kills, everyone else. I really appreciate all of your help. Please don't forget to leave comments below the description for future ideas, what you want to see. Okay, don't forget to do that. Don't forget to subscribe, absolutely, because we have so many good streams and videos coming up. So absolutely subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification button because you want to know when we are going to have these, when they're going to be taking place, so you can fit time in your schedule. Don't forget, these are recorded. You can play back through them. So if you miss it, don't worry. Boom, you'll know where to find them. And again, go to our Discord, check out events. It's going to be in the left channel panel. Look at the top, click events, click follow or the interested button, and that way it will follow you, and that way it'll be on your schedule. Okay, so thank you again so much for making it to the stream, and I will catch you next time. Stay safe and healthy. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye. Oh yes, it was a great stream. Thank you, Oscar.